Hit
Recording in
record.
progress.
Timer. Alright. Okay, folks, thank you for streaming. This episode of Yumio to Ohanashi features the author of Thriller Compendium, The Determined Ones, Jade Black from somewhere in the UK. Thanks for joining here, Jade. So can you briefly introduce yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me
Yes,
on.
yes.
I'm a writer, artist, composer, podcaster, game designer, you name it. I'm creative, that's what I do.
Way too many talents that you want to discover. I see. Composer and gamer, I see. And first of all, can you share your latest accomplishment or temporary goal?
My goal at the moment is by the end of the year, I would like to have 6 of the 8 Determined Ones books drafted. At the moment, I'm on 4, but good progress on 5. So, fingers crossed.
I see. Okay, so how about when did you discover the joy of writing?
Well, I started writing seriously at about 16, which is a while ago. But I wouldn't say I discovered the joy of writing until about a year in at 17 when I started to get the hang of what I was doing.
Yes, because I noticed that the English-speaking writers, they kind of discover the joy of writing in a pretty early stage, such as the teenagers, because in Japan, Japanese people don't learn that kind of creative writing in the early age, so that's why many novelists debut after 30 years old. That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
Yes, especially
I did not know that.
Yes, that's kind of a trend, and very rarely those young authors debut in their like 17 or 20 something, but most of the writers in Japan, novelists, are more over 30, pretty much relevant. I see. And when is your best time to write?
Oh, I'm a night owl. I mean, it's rare for me to start before 10 p.m. generally. I'm more of like an 11 till midnight, though. Towards the end of projects, it matters a lot less, I found.
I see. So currently, in United Kingdom, it's already nighttime, right? Like 8 p.m.?
It's like just turned 8 p.m., so still early for me.
I see. So maybe after this interview, you're gonna start writing your pieces, update your pieces.
That's the plan.
I see. What is your writing advice?
I would say write when you're inspired to write. Don't necessarily keep a strict schedule of it, and just like let it happen how it happens. I wouldn't worry too much about, but my plan says this or that. Just go with it, see what happens, and have fun.
So you're more of like spontaneous, not those kind of well-planned or...
Yeah, I'm not really a planner. I used to be, but not anymore.
Yeah, sometimes spontaneous or the what we call improvisation, like jazz musicians do. I think that works sometimes, often quite. I see. So that goes to the next question. Are you a pantser or plotter or prancer?
I am a hardcore pantser. I don't do any plotting. I don't know anything about what I'm doing when I go into it. I just see what happens, and it's a lot of fun, and sometimes an editing headache, but we're here for it.
So you kind of put your words on your word, and then you kind of get in your imagination with one word or two, and try to roll the dice and see which direction you're gonna go. I see. And
it's all vibes.
Yes, yes. Also, maybe you need the groove and vibe. I see. And here is the writer's favorite question. When composing an action sequence, do you first image it in your brain to visualize or toss words randomly, or do you have your own way to compose those action sequences?
I visualize it a bit in my head first, just so I get an idea of where everybody is and like what weapons they've got and all that sort of things. I'm not a weapons nerd, I promise. But very quickly it becomes very real time for me.
I see. So when composing those scenes, do you have your like a camera angle in your head? Because some writers, yes,
100%.
Yes, a couple of writers answered this question, and they say that they kind of calculate the camera angle as well.
Oh yeah, always for me. I love the cinematic. The cinematics. That's good. I like that.
I see. And do you follow your eye movements, such as when a character enters the room, and then the character first sees something in the center of the room, then goes to the ceiling and such and such? Do you follow that kind of pattern, like your eye movement?
I do a bit, I think. It's not something I've ever really thought about very much, to be honest, but probably do.
I see. And your novel contains a lot of action scenes, or
This one does, yeah, because it's a military thriller. There's a lot
military
of
thriller.
battle. There's a lot of that sort of action, but generally speaking, no. So it's a new venture for me, really.
I see. So the this determined ones, is it the setting is like a modern days or older days or fantasy kind of a thing?
It's sort of medieval-ish,
Medieval.
but with some things that are a bit more modern. Well, sometimes quite a lot more modern, and some things that are a little bit behind. But there's a whole load of lore that's tied into that. That's very, very complicated. But yeah, it's oldie worldy times. Lots of swords and bows and all those sorts of things.
So maybe it's close to a Final Fantasy series, maybe.
I wouldn't say so personally.
I see. Thank you. And how about the your favorite films, TV, music, or any kind of audiovisual entertainment?
I mean, for me, it's a lot of games, being a game designer. So the Legend of Zelda series is as good a place as to start as any. I'm a huge Zelda nerd. Professor Layton series as well, big fan. But also huge music fan too, have been forever. Big metalhead, hugely into jazz, which is fun with you mentioning jazz earlier. Love jazz. And favorite artist of mine for forever has been Serj Tankian. Big fan of him.
Yes, System of a Down.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the Toxicity because I don't know how many times I listened to Toxicity, so that was the groundbreaking and epic album, I think, from start to
Oh,
finish.
it's so good.
How about the other bands? Do you listen to those European fantasy metal bands like a Nightwish or Within Temptation or?
I've listened to a bit of it, but not massively so.
I see, because many fantasy writers somehow discover those European fantasy metal bands, like from Spain or Italy or Germany. That's why I just wonder.
I can see that if you're a fantasy writer, but I do thriller and horror and all that stuff instead. So maybe it's just been a bit less relevant. I don't know.
And what other metal bands do you like other than System of a Down?
Slipknot,
Slipknot?
one that springs to mind. Coal Chamber, I've
Coal
listened
Chamber.
to
Coal
a
Chamber.
bit of Drowning Pool. Not sure who else off the top of my head.
I see. So your playlist often pops up as metal music, like your iPod or iTunes or Spotify.
I mean, it's really a split between metal and jazz. Like those are the two big ones.
It's kind of jazz is kind of the sharing those essence of heavy metal maybe because some heavy metal bands use those very technical rhythm section and then the kind of incorporating with jazz too. I see. And how about the can you name any famous Japanese person that impacted you the most?
I mean, there are a few, but I think the number one I always go back to, particularly as a composer, is Koji Kondo, composer at Nintendo. Huge influence on me as a composer. Love his work.
I see. So, what is his most famous games he did?
I mean, I think it's hard to look past Mario 64.
Oh, really?
That's probably the most famous game he's worked on.
I see. Any other game composers do you like?
I mean, there are a few game soundtracks I know, but the composers' names escape me. So the Layton soundtracks always really stuck out to me. That's really fantastic work, but I don't know the name of the composer.
I see.
I'm trying to think. There is one other really good example. Oh, the Doom soundtracks again
Doom.
as well. That's really, really good stuff.
I see.
And the Zelda soundtracks as well, also definitely worth mention.
I see, because the one composer I really like is the Hitoshi Sakimoto, who is notable for doing the Ogre Battle series and also Final Fantasy Tactics, and recently Square Enix games actually. And he is kind of good at composing the orchestral kind of epic songs. So maybe you might have heard his songs in those kind of 90s or 2000s games, I think.
Yeah, I've heard a few Square Enix tracks that are very good, but I haven't given that the proper time that I should have, to be honest.
I see. And how about the, it's a little bit silly question, but what is your favorite food?
Very hard to define because I'm big foodie, but it's a toss-up between tofu. I really love tofu, and also chocolate. I do. I am huge into my chocolate. I am eagerly awaiting the post-Valentine's sale.
Oh, yeah, Valentine's is closing in. I see. And how about do you cook by yourself?
Oh, I cook a lot. You see a lot of that on my Twitter if you follow my positivity thread. I often cook a lot of food for dinner because it makes me happy.
Yes, me too, because I sometimes take those photos of the things I cook and I share on Twitter, and many people react on that one because the food pictures always get more likes than those kind of heavy writing ones, because even though you compose an epic tweet with 280 characters and post it, and you don't get any likes, but you just post a picture of a cat or a picture of the food, then you're gonna get lots of likes instantly.
I mean, your food looks good, to be
Thank
honest.
you so much. Yes, I'm kind of based on my Japanese knowledge. That's why earlier I was cooking lunch for my wife, and I mixed the curry and udon, and this looks kind of a nice smell, I think. I see. How about do you have any favorite Japanese anime or manga?
I'm not really that into anime or manga. It's one of those things I've sort of looked at and thought I'd like to get into it. So a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff.
Yes, Ghibli.
I'm interested in that, but I've not actually gotten into it yet.
Any memorable Ghibli film? Have you watched those Ghibli film?
I think the one I'm probably most interested at the moment is Kiki's Delivery Service. I quite like the look of that one, and there's a whole message behind it. So I've heard of burnout and stuff like that, and I'm quite interested to see how that's handled.
Yes, Kiki's Delivery Service is very notable for making those characters fly in the sky, and that's what the Miyazaki Hayato's favorite scenes, because he said he loves those kind of aeroplane things, and that's why Kiki's Delivery Service, Wind Rises, or even the Lapita, Castle in the Sky, they all have those scenes, the characters flying in the sky, and that's pretty imaginative, I think.
I really admire Miyazaki's art and his work. I really do like that.
Yes, and we're kind of running out of time soon, so let's wrap up. So, any message to those watching this interview?
I would say just believe in yourself as a writer. That's the main thing. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to believe in you?
Exactly. Yes, always believe in yourself, but don't be overconfident as well. Yes, at the same time. I see. And finally, what is the most encouraging phrase that you recite when you want to pump up your motivation or crawl out from rock bottom?
There are two I go back to. So number one is "You got this." I've proven to myself I can do this. And the second really is the overarching theme of the Determined ones, which is just never give up.
Never give up. Yes, that is the pretty encouraging message. And I'm surprised that most writers give me very encouraging message or encouraging phrase that I have never heard before. So that's why. And okay, Jade, thank you very much. So her work is called The Determined Ones. So folks, if you're interested in Jade, please pick her work and follow her account at JADEBLACK21. Truly appreciate your participation in this segment, Jade. Wish you great success, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you.